Yo, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money, and first off, let me say I'm doing this episode on Election Day. Today is Election Day. By the time most of you probably see this, you'll probably be it'll be days later. But if you do see this on Election Day, or if it is go out and vote, make a change. Please make a change because today's episode is about, oh my God, we're going to get into this episode and we're talking about the government shutdown. Oh, you knew I was going to have to do an episode about that. And not only that, we're probably going to be talking about another situation, but we're probably going to do that in a part 2 episode, which will probably be still today, but a part 2 episode. First off, y'all know that this is the longest government shutdown in history. We are at 30 plus days. We are in a month into a government shutdown. And why are we in a government shutdown? It's because the Republicans want to get rid of the Obamacare. But the Democrats do not want it. The Republicans want to raise premiums and all of this mess, and they want, all of that. And the Democrats are saying, no, we want Americans to have affordable health care. Y'all want to get rid of it. And with that being that the government has been shut down, we are now going into a crisis with the SNAP program, which is what most of y'all know as food stamps. Because of the government shutdown, there are several things that is happening. A lot of workers are being forced to work without pay, meaning air traffic controllers, TSA workers. A lot of these government places are closed. These national parks, a lot of these government buildings and a lot of these government places. Even with the Social Security, I looked on their website and they say, that they are shut down. You may get, they may have workers that working and stuff like that, but I've heard that they are affected by the government. Not saying that they're shut down, but they are affected by the government shutdown. And a lot of Americans are being affected by this because there are people out there that rely on the food assistance. And I'm gonna tell you this. I don't like this government shutdown for one reason. Yes, I believe that they need to come to a compromising. The Republicans want to get rid of Obamacare. They want to raise premiums. They want to get rid of these health cares for people that, they was only paying $30-$40 for health care. Now they're going to be paying $100-$200 there. I seen a lady on the news the other day saying that her premiums was only $80, and if they come to understand this, she'll be paying $425. I'm like, whoa, that's a big jump. And I'm like, okay, y'all have to realize something, that y'all not thinking about the working class citizen. You realize the cost of living goes up every year. Landlords are not thinking about, how much money you make. In the state of Florida, the minimum wage is $15. That's not even enough to cover light bill. The minimum wage is ridiculous because yes, it's $15, and a lot of these places do not start you off at $15. I've been past several Burger Kings and McDonald's and restaurants and all these, but they say they start you off at $11. They start you off at $12. They start you off at $13. Management make $20. Shift managers make $14 to $15. Managers make $20. And I'm like, really? Shift workers make $11 to $12, maybe $13 an hour. Shift managers make $13, $14, $15 an hour. And I'm like, how is that enough to pay? Let's do the math. So, you work 6 days out of the week. 5 days out of the week, 6 hours. 6 times 5 is 30 hours. If you times that 30 times $15, it's $450. Times 2 gives you $900. If your rent is $1,000, you're $100 short. Not only that, you still have electricity, food. If you have a car, you have a car note, car insurance. If not, you bus transportation, you have all of that. So my thing is, y'all more worried about saving money in the government's hand. Why not trying to worry about saving money in the citizens of America's hand? This is what this whole government shutdown is. The government is trying to save money in their pockets, meaning they're trying to, cover their asses with the deficit and all of this other mess that they're trying to save money. But you're not thinking about the American citizens trying to save money. There are people out here that don't that can't afford food, and they rely on food stamps. There are people out here that pay $1,200-$1,300 a month for a 2-bedroom. There are people out here that pay $1,200-$1,300 a month for a 1-bedroom, and still got kids. They can't afford a 2-bedroom, so some of them have to have their kids sleeping in the living room, or they sleep in the living room and the kids take the bedroom. I had an ex-co-worker of mine who stayed in the Poking Beans at one point. The new Poking Beans, not the old ones, the new ones. And I did a video about it. Go back and look at my video. And they were staying in the 2-bedroom with their girlfriend from then, and they was paying $1,300 a month in the Poking Beans, or should I say Liberty Square, which is mainly what it's called. And you're paying $1,300. Granted, you have to have a decent job to pay that much money in rent, and that's not including lights, food, transportation, whatever, other expenses that you have to pay for. So I look at it as if, how is these government thinking about the American citizen? And then they say Trump is trying to get, because the government, the courts saying that it is illegal for them to not have food, the food stamp service not available to the American citizens. So Trump is trying to get the government to at least release some funding to help pay for food stamps, for food assistance. But that's only going to be for the month of November. Now, at the same time, y'all not realizing that you're going to start a riot. There was already posts way before the November 1st, because it's after November 1st. There was already posts going around saying that Walmart, and it was alleged, it's not real, that Walmart was only going to do online ordering because they was in fear that people was going to come and steal out of the stores, and a lot of these stores are going to be closed and stuff like that. There was a post that I seen yesterday that a lot of Amazon workers at a location, not all over, but a lot of Amazon workers showed up to work at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, to get ready, because a lot of us Amazon orderers, they start doing our orders like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, so it can be delivered 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And there was a post that a person said they couldn't log into their portal to go to work, and then a lot of the Amazon workers was locked up. And I was like, this has to do with government shutdown. But at the same time, it was said later on in the video that a lot of the portals that people uses, that these services are using, have been down. And I'm thinking, yeah, they've been down, but I'm thinking it's not just because their services have been down. It's a government shutdown. A lot of these companies rely on services, and I seen one of the politicians, they said, and I was watching it on the news, they say 50%, a lot of these businesses, 50% of their money comes from food stamps. When you go into Walmart and you see a person with a whole cart full of groceries, 9 times out of 10, they're paying that with food stamps. Because I mean I don't get food stamps. So when I go grocery shopping, I get the stuff that I normally eat on a regular basis and stuff like that. When I was getting food stamps, I was every 2 weeks I was ordering food. But I get food now. I have to budget myself because things like that. But when you see a person that has a cartload, I mean, their groceries are like stacked. When you see that they got almost $200 to $300 worth of groceries in their cart, you can guarantee you they're paying that with food stamps because they spending that money. And a lot of these businesses, their money, their finance, their incomes and their profits come from the food stamps. Now you're going to see a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of testimonials on a lot high. There are different posts about people are going to be doing strange things for a piece of change. Some of these people are going to be on their backs trying to get food to pay for their kids. Some of these people are going to be robbing the stores. Some of these people are going to be doing other frivolous things. And I'm like, the government been corrupted for years. We have never, and I don't care, you can say during the Obama administration, during the Clinton administration, during the Bush administration, during the Biden administration, during the Nixon, the Carter administration, this government has been corrupted for years. There has never been a 100% government. And now you got President Donald Trump, who is in here, who, oh my God, is just going cuckoo for crazy. And he keeps blaming this shutdown on the Democrats. You don't blame this on the Democrats. You got to blame this on what it is. Y'all don't want to help the Americans get back to great. These people don't want to lose their insurance. These people don't want to lose they premiums and they low cost insurance. You got people out here that's paying $20, $30, maybe $40 a month in insurance, and that's what they can afford. They can afford $100 and $200 and stuff like that. When my mom, before she switched life insurance, when my mom was working, her life insurance was over $100 a month, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a lot. Now her life insurance is only like $30, $40 a month, and I'm like, hey, that's better than paying $100 and something a month. My mom, insurance, even though when she was working, she was getting insurance from her job, but now she has good insurance. She don't want to lose the insurance that she got. It helps pay for her medicines and her groceries and stuff like that. You cut these services, then a lot of people are going to be out of money. People are going to, be going back to, they're going to have to be going back to pension pennies. We don't make, even when you do make enough money, when you retire, a lot of these senior citizens don't get enough money. The average citizen probably gets $1,000 at the most, and it's hard for them to actually live off $1,000 when your rent is $1,000, and that's not just with the citizens. That's a lot, And I look at this and I say, y'all have to come together to resolve this, because this has just been going on for a long time. This ain't just started. There's been battling against, the government for years. Healthcare, food stamps, cost of living. Remember when Governor Rick Scott, when he was the governor of Florida, and he wanted everybody to pay $30 to get a drug test just to get government assistance, and the government say you can't do that. Remember a lot of this stuff that's going down, and I'm like, dude, y'all realize this government shutdown? This is the longest government shutdown so far. I'm quite sure there's going to be another government shutdown to where it might be a little bit longer, but look what it is. People trying to get home from vacations, and a lot of these people, they been without a month without services, and some of these people, they may or may not have money to cover their bills. Because if you work for the government, and you ain't got no high pay, if you make it like $20, $25, $30 an hour, yeah, you may make $2,000-$3,000 a paycheck, and then you might have a little bit of money on the side left over. But who's to say you have enough money to cover rent for the next 2 or 3 months? And I look at it as if Y'all not thinking of the American citizens. Y'all just worrying about we trying to get rid of health care, but the Democrats won't get rid of it. The Democrats trying to save it. And then President Trump saying if the Democrats would just open up the government, then we can fix it. Fix what? In order for you to open up the government, that means the Democrats will have to approve of getting rid of getting rid of health care, getting rid of Obamacare. That's the only way you're gonna open up the government is if you come and say, okay, we're gonna open it up by let's get rid of the health care. That's how you're gonna open up the government and open up the economy. But y'all want to get rid of health care. And a lot of these people rely on health care because that's the premiums are cheap. You know, I've seen the commercials where some people pay zero copay, $0 a month. Some people pay 20, some people pay 30. Like I said, I seen the other day on the news a lady was paying $80 a month, and then if anything, it'll go up to $425. And I'm like, is that just for one person or for a whole entire empire? Because if I'm paying $425 a month, I need to be paying for me, my mama, my brothers, my sisters, my cousins, my aunties. I'm not paying $425 a month just for me. Am I going to get car service to and from the doctor? Am I going to get, services that I can do, online services and stuff like that, free medicines and all that I'm paying this much? And I'm not, y'all not thinking of how this would affect the American citizen, just like with the food stamp situation. Y'all keep saying, yes, it's affected the American citizens here because a lot of these families they have 4 and 5 kids that they rely on food stamps, but they can't feed their kids because now there's a government shutdown. But all y'all keep saying, if the Democrats would just let us open up and agree to open back up, we can fix it. No. You have to fix the problem before you open the government back up. You can't just say, oh, let the Democrats got to let us open back up and then we'll fix the problem. No, the problem is the problem. You have to fix the problem before you can open it back up, because until you can fix that problem, you can't open the government back up. But what Trump is saying is, oh, let the Democrats need to agree to need to side with the Republicans so we can open the economy back up and then we can fix the problem. No, the problem existed because of the shutdown, and the food stamps existed because of the problem that we have with the Democrats wanting to keep Obamacare and health care, but the Republicans don't want it because they want to get rid of it. Now, I get that y'all trying to cover y'all butt and trying to cut costs in the government. I understand that. But at the same time, do you think that this is going to help the American citizens? Do you think that this is going to help people who are out here struggling with kids that can't afford insurance? When they go to the doctors, they got to go to the hospital because their kid got sick or got injured and stuff, and they need to take care of their kids. And by now, they're going to have a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 hospital bill because they don't have insurance, because you got rid of Obamacare. You got rid of health care. So now a lot of these people are going to be feeling the effects. It ain't just about food stamps. It's about health care. It's about cost of living. I seen I seen on the news, one of these a lady said that she had to dip into her rent money to buy groceries. And I'm like, to feed her kids. And I'm like, yes. What is it? My thing is, feed your kids or pay your rent. And luckily, there are a lot of places that are saying, if you're affected by the government, they will help you out. My bank institution sent out the message to everybody on the apps, and I'm quite sure they sent out an email, and they said, if you have been affected by the government shutdown, please contact us and we'll help you and stuff like that. Just like where I stayed at in my complex, they sent out the letter if you lost your job due to COVID, please reach out to us for a payment plan. And I understand there are people out there that's helping these people. Like a lot of these federal employees that are being furloughed and that are being, that are working, and they're not making no money because they're in the government shutdown. They're about to lose their apartments. They're about to lose their houses. They're about to be evicted. They're about to be homeless. They're about to be out here starving because they got to go to these food banks. A lot of these people now, a lot of these food banks are going to be with long lines, and I've seen it on the news. There are local food banks out here that is willing to help these people, and they're ready. They say they're ready to help these people because a lot of these people, they didn't, you get people out here that say, I don't need government assistance. I make enough money to pay my bills and to buy groceries or whatever. Now they need government assistance and they can't get it because what? The government is shut down. You got a lot of these people that say, yes, I don't need to go to a food bank to get food. I have enough money to go buy groceries, so I won't have to need assistance. I'll leave the assistance to somebody who really needs it. I'm not going to get food stamps, or I'm not going to get, go to these food banks and get food when I got money to buy. I'm going to leave that to somebody who really needs it. Now they have to run to the food banks because they are in the need. And I'm like, it's because y'all are not getting it through your heads. Regardless if we open this economy back up or not, something is going to crash. By you keeping the economy, by you keeping the government shut down, food stamps are eliminated. But by you opening the government back up, you're eliminating healthcare. So that makes it, regardless of what you do, something gotta give. Oh, if we keep the shutdown going, nobody's gonna get their food stamps. Oh, but what if we open back up the economy and open and end the shutdown, we can get rid of health care. We can get rid of Obamacare. President Trump said Obamacare was stupid. Stupid? Yeah, I admit, and there have been some posts that I've seen from people saying that their premiums are high, and some people, when they tried to apply for Obamacare, said it, because I even said it. One time I tried to apply in Obamacare in the health marketplace, and it said that my bill will be $125 a month. I'm like, for who? That's like a family plan. Me, I'd rather pay $30 and $40 a month than pay $125 for one person. I would see you paying $125 for two people, yeah, or maybe three, but for one person, come on, dude. Seriously, what am I getting out of this? And probably still got to pay co-pays and premiums and all this other. I probably still got to pay co-pays and pay for my medicines and all of that stuff. So I'm like, dude, really, y'all are really killing us. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is going on? Are we really trying to hurt the economy by letting people? And I'm telling y'all this, and I've said this before. I may not have said it on my show. I might not have said it in any of my episodes, but in about 30, 40 years, everything is going to be gone. There's going to be no more Social Security. There's going to be no more food stamps. There's going to be nothing. It's going to be a Cold War. It's going to be worse than what it is now. Because you realize the Social Security that people are getting now, a lot of these people are getting services that they really don't need. You got people out here that is healthy, living, walking around, healthy as a doll, getting Social Security, not working, sitting on their ass, having the government take care of them, whether they on Section 8, Social Security, HUD, food stamps, whatever. And they are living their sexiest life out there because they are living off the government. But then you have some people out here that are struggling, that is living from paycheck to paycheck, wishing they can have government assistance, but can't get it because the government looking at them like, oh, you know how many times I've been rejected from food stamps in the past? I've been rejected several times just because they say I make money. Food stamps look at you and say, oh, you make $2 an hour, you make money. Not knowing that your rent is $500 a month, but you're only making $2 an hour. And you know how much that is? Nothing. And it's the same thing with Section 8 in a lot of these places. But then again, they don't look at the ones who's out here walking around, breathing and living life, looking like the Sound of Music lady, walking through the field saying, I'm free. And they don't have a care in the world because they living off the government. But at the same time, you're willing to get services away from people who is struggling. It's families out here that depend on food stamps every month to survive, to live, to feed their families, to feed themselves, you know. But you don't look at it like that. You look at it as if feed the families or get rid of health care. If you feed the families, you got to get rid of health care. If you don't want to get rid of health care, you can't feed the families. Either you keep health care and don't feed the families, which meaning there still is a shutdown, or you feed the families and get rid of healthcare, meaning open the economy back up. I want to know what y'all think about this, because this is really getting, irking me, and we haven't even touched the surface on Donald Trump, because there's a lot more I want to talk about with him, but we're going to get into that in another episode, because this right here, and I don't blame Donald Trump for it. I blame Congress, because they can't come together and say, okay, my thing is, we don't get rid of healthcare. Just come to a affordable situation where it can cut costs in the government to where we can save Obamacare, but also save money in the government. Because I understand what the Republicans are trying to do, and I understand what the Democrats are trying to do. The Republicans is trying to cut costs in the government and save money. What the Democrats are trying to do is make sure that our American citizens have affordable health care. So I understand on both ends, but at the same time, you have to come to some type of agreement. And whatever reason or whatever the Democrats are trying to budge for, the Republicans won't budge. And for that matter, that's why we have a government shutdown. And that's why we have what we got going on with food stamps being cut, a lot of services being cut. People are not getting paid for their services, are not getting paid for their work, are being furloughed, are being, calling off, a lot of these people. Why am I coming to work and I'm not finna get paid for it? Why am I coming to work when I'm not, it was one time at my job, and they had it to where, and this was I think during around the time Hurricane Katrina, and they had everybody, they had two options, and they was like, if you work and you sign the paper, that means your day's worth of money, the money that you make for, like, say if you going to work today, and if you want to donate, you could donate your day's worth of your paycheck to the Hurricane Relief Fund to help people in Katrina. And they had where you can donate, you don't have to donate. And I didn't donate, but I did, send my sympathy, because I was like, I do feel what they feel, because not only we had that same situation with Hurricane Andrew, and I look at it as if the government doesn't really care about the normal human being. So I want to know what y'all think about this. Do you think that this is right for the government to be shut down this long? Do you think that the Democrats are right, or do you think that the Republicans are right? Do you think that Donald Trump is right, even though we're doing a separate episode for that? Let me know what you think about this, because this right here is getting ridiculous, and it's been going on for almost a month, and they can't get their act together, because you got the Democrats saying one thing, you got the Republicans saying another thing, and then now it's causing chaos with people, out of work or not being paid for work, people losing food stamps. This is just a headache, and I'm sick to my bone to see that we as American citizens can't come together as, human beings to actually compromise on things. So I need to know what you think about this. Email me, comment at the bottom of this page. Email me, I'm sorry, I didn't say the email. Email me, roundtable00@yahoo.com. I want you to also comment at the bottom of this page if you can. We are going to be doing a follow-up story on this, because I want to know how this outcome is going to bring. Is the Democrats is going to cave into the Republicans' demands and to open the economy back up, is the Republicans going to cave in, which I highly doubt that is, or what's going to happen with the food stamps um situation, what's going to happen with a lot of these situations, what's going to happen to this economy regardless if we open back up or not, because there are a lot of things on the table that is not. So let me know how you feel about this. Email me, comment at the bottom of this page. I thank y'all for watching this episode. If you have your weigh-ins on this, please comment on this, because if you've been affected by this, please comment as well too. I want to know how this has affected you. And I thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our other videos. This is the Round Table Talk. I am your host, C Money. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.